these are our heroes growing up. Gordon Gekko. How many people have seen Wall Street? Okay. And look at the difference between Wall Street when it was made, when I watched it, and the latest one that came out. I still think the first one's a lot better production, right? But the storyline, that's the difference. That's the difference between my generation and your generation. I was about killing, taking. You know, hunter-killer, that's what they called us. We're the hunter-killer class. Fuck, we're idiots. We're idiots, right? And now when we look at what Wall Street's producing, right, it's about, you know, consciousness and, you know, creating abundance. And there's way more money on the table when there's way more money on the table. It's not about restricting things, right? Bill Gates, I'll tell you, definitely one of my heroes. But this guy knows how to divide and conquer. Not that he's not creative and not a genius and he's not doing amazing things today, but Microsoft business plan, right, lock, stock, and barrel was all about neutralize. Find the best guys out there, take a little piece of their company, learn what they're doing, kill them. Take it over, own the market, next product. And he was brilliant at it, absolutely brilliant at it. And Milken, well, I can't help it. I can't help it. I still think this guy's an amazing genius. You know, he ripped the entire economy off for literally trillions of dollars, right? But he found a way, right, to do junk bonds. But it was a zero-sum game, right? And he did it by taking advantage of other people's weaknesses, which back in that day was 100% okay. In fact, that made you stronger and smarter and faster, right? Not better. So that's who we grew up with. Now you guys today, you know, we got you know, Steve Jobs, whose empire is ruling the world. Now, not that Steve doesn't have, or Steve, I don't know the guy, so I shouldn't talk like that, but not that Mr. Jobs, you know, doesn't have his faults like everybody else. But he wasn't, and, you know, and it's not that he didn't like money, but he wasn't about the money. He had a passion for his products. He had a passion for design. He had a passion for putting certain things out there. I mean, this guy had his own distortion reality field. I mean, he's a great entrepreneur in that respect. And lots of people couldn't work with him and all the rest of it. But that kernel of not taking, but of creating more is what he's inspired at Apple, in my opinion. You know, we look at Sergey and Larry up there, the founders of Google, do no evil, right? And again, Google's got its problems, but the premise that it started on wasn't go screw your neighbor. And it's okay to do that, by the way. And in fact, you know, the Bible says one thing or the Quran says another thing, but it's really all about the money, right? That's just not how things start today. And it can happen quickly, too. Instagram, these guys did not start off to make $1 billion, right? They started off to make a better product. They were frustrated with how photos were uploaded. And you know what? The secretary that started 3 weeks before is a multimillionaire now, right? It wasn't officially in the option plan, but they just said, hey, you're part of the team. There it is, right? That's not about keeping things. That's about creating more.